good or better. It's a special day as it demonstrates goodwill and success of our college. Today, on this occasion, we have invited so many experts in this field as a special delegates who are kind enough to accept our invitation despite having a busy schedule. Ladies and gentlemen, give a round of applause to the delegates who have been working in this field and enriching this new domain with their acumen, knowledge, and deep understanding of the subject. I am quite hopeful that this conclave will give us, as well as our institution, vigor to work for betterment in this field and encourage upcoming students and faculties to come up with new innovations which will help societies and computing fraternity to contribute more and more. I feel honored that I was given this opportunity to speak about you and your accomplishments towards the society in front of our renowned delegates. On behalf of everyone, I feel lucky to have you at our conference. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir, for sowing seeds of hope amongst us all. We are really grateful for your presence. Now, I would like to request Professor Juma Datta, co-coordinator, to deliver the vote of thanks.
Thank you, Professor Ananda. Good evening to all. It gives me immense pleasure to propose a vote of thanks for the influence of the senior person of water online activity on smart computing and its application in cyber defense and digital policy. On behalf of the organizing committee, firstly, I would like to express my deepest appreciation to the AIT Training and Learning Academy for giving us this opportunity to organize this activity on such a big scale. Today, we are very lucky to have our Assistant Vice President, whoever is limited, Mr. Vishnu Kumar with us. I would like to extend our heartfelt thanks to the chief guest for graciously accepting our invitation and for sharing such insightful words with us. I would also like to express my profound thanks to our respected principal sir, Dr. Omita Bhoni, for his support, guidance, leadership that inspires us to organize such activities. Sir, we appreciate your keen interest and the leading role in faculty development. Looking forward to your teacher. We also deeply grateful to all the resource persons for taking the time to give us. We eagerly look forward to learning from their wealth of knowledge and experience over this experience. I would like to thank Dr. Suhas Burman, the coordinator of this program, for his exceptional effort and dedication in planning and organizing this activity. We look forward to your creative planning for the second session in coming days. I also extend my sincere gratitude to the organizing committee, all faculty members, staffs, officers in the department in the organization of this event. It is their hard work and forwardness that make this event possible. We look forward to your active participation in the upcoming days. My heartfelt thanks to all the departmental heads, faculty, staffs of other departments, economic officers, registered madam, of our institute for your valuable contribution, gratitude and encouragement in all our efforts. We look forward to receiving such kind of support in coming days. A special word of thanks goes to all the participants for the country for their interest and taking part of this activity. We hope you will take full advantage of the sessions, lead the program, and lead with fresh perspectives and ideas to shape your future in the field of smart computing and its applications, including cyber defense and digital forensics. I also like to give a special thanks to the media present to prayer. I would like to wish everyone an enriching and successful program. May this series provide valuable insights and inspires all of us to continue our journey towards knowledge, innovation, excellence. We look forward to an engaging and productive webinar ahead. Thank you. Thanks very much.
Thank you so much, ma'am. We have come to an end of the first session of this program. We are about to take a 5 or 7 minutes break, and then we will be starting the second session of the program. Thank you all.
Thank you. Nice.
Yes, yes, yes. Okay, so we are just going to start your slide. Welcome everyone to the AICT sponsored ATAL online activity, Smart Computing and its application in cyber defense and digital forensic, organized by Department of Cyber Engineering, Jammu Government Engineering College. Without wasting much time, we would like to introduce the session chair this session, who is Dr. Gaurav Panchal. He is a senior technical lead at Immersive Innovation Center, Pune, India. Dr. Panchal is responsible for ensuring the products and solution security in terms of security coding, SAST, and complete architecture review, including threat and risk analysis, maturity assessment. Dr. Panchal is also responsible for development of AI-based security control implementation. He holds PhD in computer science and engineering from Indian Institute of Technology, Kharagpur. During his PhD, he contributed to various cryptographic protocols for key management for data storage security. Over to you, sir.
Yeah, am I audible? Thank you for the confirmation. I'm sharing my screen. Can anyone confirm? Is my screen visible?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
All right. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Visible, sir.
All right. Thank you so much. All right. So good evening, everyone. Let's start with the first presentation. And before I start the presentation, I would like to thank Dr. Subhas Barban for giving this wonderful opportunity to talk with your like participants and all the like stakeholders who are going to participate to this entire like program. So thank you so much, Subhas sir. Is it properly visible and my sound is audible?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
All right, thank you. All right, so let us start with the. So today I'm going to discuss like some of the important aspects some of the important topics of cybersecurity, which is beyond some of the understandings and some of the like curriculum activity which we are doing into the our college days and into our research as well, into our day to day the study. So I wanted to bring these points to you guys and make the awareness about like what industry is looking for and what kind of needs are there into the industry where you have to give more focus in with respects to the cybersecurity domain. So this is what like today we are going to cover. So probably we'll be covering the most of the terms about the some of the IT related issues, IoT related, and the OT related issues. Some of the current trends which we are going to discuss in these presentations. Also, like what you have to prepare, what could be the research areas which where industry is looking for solutions. What are the future research opportunities and some of the career like so basically career related areas and some of the like high level job preparations, which is like not only for the all audience, wherever it is applicable, it may cover their your requirement as well. So let's go to the actual content. So everybody's knowing about and everybody's aware about what is connected world. And as we know about like connected worlds, like we day to day we have connecting to the lot of objects. Even in fact we have like smartphones, smart mobiles, smart devices which are there, where we keep on connecting to the objects and which are our like daily routine part of our routine activity, and we keep on connecting. So overall, if you see about, there are more than 10 objects which we keep on connecting to the connected world, and which makes our life easy. And this is what like we always think about what is IoT and what is IIoT kind of things, and we always think about something is connected, and we have to use those technologies into the day-to-day life. So where exactly the connected world? Is this the smart wearable devices is the connected world? Is the smart objects which are connected, which can be considered as a connected world? Answer say yes, everything is connected. Whatever we see like as a smart things in terms of digital content and digital product, all those things as a considered as a connected world. But is there any risk available? Yes, always there is risk available whenever we see the connected things, and there are plenty of and there are many areas where we have to think about the risk perspective. There are many areas where we have to think about, oh, like we are connected. Can somebody hack me? Can somebody like take my data? Can somebody monitors me? So those kind of things always very dangerous things, and considering those as a risk factors where we have to give a more focus while developing of any kind of product or any kind of technology. So like now when we see about this picture is taken from the Google for the reference, and if you see about this city where many objects are connected, even if you see about let's say a smart city where different objects are connected, they are talking to each other. If you see about nowadays the signals which are also like intelligence signals available, may not be in India, but other countries they are coming up with those kind of solutions like smart cities, smart infrastructures, like smart traffic monitoring systems. So those kind of things are which are coming up, and always we have to think about what could be the uncommon situations on the particular systems. Any system that you are going to build, any system that you are going to develop, always now we have to think about the cybersecurity, and hence there is a requirement of understanding cybersecurity. Now there are two perspectives over here. Like we do some of the academic research, and we do some of the industrial research into the cybersecurity area. Now, when we say about academic research, it is more into the depth. It is taking a like slightly longer time than the other activities, other research area, but it has a depth inside. And those depth understandings are very much important for the companies which are doing a core development, which are like a foundations company which develop those kind of like products. For example, let's say Intel, or let's say some of the company which making some of the chips, or some of the company which making some of the hardware. So those company required a very solid research in terms of cybersecurity. And another research area where, it's a market catch kind of things, where you have to there is no way that your product will not go into the market. So our product will go into the market, but we have to add some of the security controls or security solutions inside the project. So at that point of time, we have to think about the industrial research, where it should be very faster. It should be like quicker solutions to the industrial problems. So those kind of things we can put it into the industrial research area. So always like we have to think about, okay, this is the like only the system which deal with the IT. This is the only system which deal with the product. This is the only system which deal with the hardware. So all those perspective we have to think about, and we have to take the next actions, what to do for cybersecurity. So here, like, is this a connected world? Again, yes, this is IT. Somewhere we have to see about the different kind of infrastructure. Let's say we all people are thinking about the cloud environment, cloud technologies, right? So those cloud infrastructure also be protected. So here I just saw one example, this is like factory kind of thing. Some of the house is there, and many of the like technology which are like booming technology, where Bluetooth comes into the picture, Wi-Fi comes into the picture. These technology are not new, but adaptation of this technology is a newer area, and where you see a lot of connectivity, a lot of communication protocols which are important. So here I mentioned very important term called OT. Like we know about IT, information technology, where all those like infrastructure related things which are coming up, all those like whatever we see about like, let's say website and all those things that comes into the IT kind of things. But when we think about OT perspective, it is like operational technology which deals with the, let's say, plant and factory automations and all those companies which are there, which take care about the OT product, where let's say all like IoT related things or industrial IoT related things will come into this particular domain. So are we also preparing ourselves to make something secure into the OT environment? Now, another classic example of this is, let's say you have one water tank which is there on the very remote area, and you have to have some connectivity, whether it is filled or not. So that's very simple, like idea where we get the status of the currently filtered water. But have you think about, let's say, if somebody like intercepting those connections and making something uncommon behavior on that particular communications? So we have to prepare ourselves like this, like this kind of product. So always like OT comes into that particular domain, and we have to think about what could be the attack surfaces, what could be the potential attack can happen on the particular like project or particular product. So that way we have to prepare ourselves. On the other way, so this is like we call it as a IT, OT, and IoT. So operational technology and industrial industrial IoT is there. So it's like IoT, industrial IoT kind of things. So in our day-to-day study, day-to-day research, we should think about the area where it is catching up the market speed and the customer is demanding. Now here, if you see this image, like here you can see there is internet. Internet is available, where it is talking to the various endpoints, where there are certain like communications over HTTPS. If you think about these various kind of interfaces, let's say Wi-Fi, BLE, then the WAN communication is there. Also, there is a IoT edge and fog computing is there. Also, on the other way, like 4G technology is there, 5G technologies are there. So we considering those things, how we can come up with the novel way of providing the security. So this is like an important area where we are just going to start, and we'll come up with the some of the strategy what we have to bring it to improve the security, to improve the our understanding about the cyber security, and importantly, can we figure it out some of the important research area. This is the main objective of this entire 1.5 hour of talk, where we have to bring where we have to come up with a different way of generating the different ideas for the cybersecurity. So coming to the next thing is, now we almost heard about three terms. Now there is another term which is coming up called industrial IoT. So when I already discussed about the high level of these things, but industrial IoT that covers the smart factory kind of things, industrial devices, smart grids, energy saving technologies, and smart homes, medical devices. So these are the example where industrial IoT comes into the place. Now, when we say industrial IoT, so and the operational technology kind of things, almost they are in a similar in terms of security concept, but the way that we want to apply the security is slightly different. For example, and there is a similarity as well. For example, let's say if you think about MQTT protocol. So how many of you heard about MQTT protocol? I think many of you might have heard about this protocol, right? So this protocol also useful into the wearable devices, into the medical devices. And similar way, these protocols are also useful into the industrial domain as well. For example, let's say your sensor is sending a data to the cloud. There are certain ways that we have to use MQTT protocol which send the data to the cloud. So this is one of the example. Likewise, there are many of the communication protocol which sending a data to the cloud, and they have a common communication protocol. So there may be OPC, UA, then the Modbus is one of the communication protocol. Then the MQTT is one of the protocol. So this way we have to identify the first important protocol where industry is demanding, and we have to come up with the novel way of providing a security. So this is like overall high level understanding. And as I talk about, there are certain common areas where we can think about. This is the part of plant and factory kind of things. This is the area where we have to think about the IT domain, and a certain area where it comes to the industrial IoT as well. So now coming to the some high level of conclusion over here is what we have to learn now. So industry is demanding of the two new different technologies. One is OT environment, and another is industrial IoT kind of thing. So many of we have a lot of we have curriculum as well, like industrial IoTs, and into the industrial IoT, we always think about, okay, let us have some communication established to the devices and get some data, and the things are over. And some high level security we are implementing in terms of these encryptions and all those things. But have you think about how these particular devices can be tampered? If I want to put some malicious activity into the devices, can I put it through the communication which is established? So this way, we have to make ourselves more thinking in terms of that kind of hacking area, or those kind of exploitation area where industry is looking for some sort of solutions. Now over here, these are a couple of example of industrial IoT kind of thing. Now very nice example where the demands are coming up. For example, let's say into the wearable devices, for example. So wearable devices, we have let's say smartwatch and everything, but there is a wearable helmet as well. So though a lot of lot of construction which are going on, and there people are nowadays they are using the helmets or the protection which they are using during their constructions of the site. They use those kind of smart devices as well. So it monitors what is the what kind of inherent, like what kind of like the changes which are coming up on the particular persons when it wears those kind of like those kind of work, not wears, but whenever they are doing those kind of hard work. So this is one of the area where people are like getting more kind of attraction. Also, there are certain, let's say, healthcare area where a lot of things are happening and lot of different like communication protocol which are establishing. So if we think about the plant and factory, the communications are happening almost similar way. The communication which are happening on the healthcare as well. The technology, the protocols, the concept remain same, but the perspective to use those kind of technology is different. So this is why like we have to think about the like cybersecurity and on the like retail side as well. So many of you might have heard about the term called supply chain. So today, let's say one industry is building a product. It has sell it out to the market. Now into the market, we have seen many of the like vendors. They change the hardware, they change the devices. Some of the like temporary solutions they provide and sell it again to the different customers. So those kind of unauthorized way changing on the devices can be also protected by using this particular like cybersecurity area. So when I say supply chain, that means your hardware integrations. Can you ensure that your product is successfully reaching to the market? So this domain we can explore into the future as well. So also inside energy, like it's like a very different area, but will not touch upon the energy part because the way that we wanted to implement something on the energy part may be like slightly into the slightly away from the academics and all those things. But still, there are certain departments which are there where they can give a more focus on the energy management with the cybersecurity as well. So coming to the other way, let's say nowadays, this is also fitness tracker kind of things where BLE is used, like Bluetooth Low Energy as a communication protocol. Contactless payment variables are there, like Apple, Google, like Apple Pay, Google Pay, those kind of things they are using, like contactless less variable payment as well. These are the like technology which are already coming up into the different countries. And medical devices are there where we also use communication protocol. So these are like another examples where we can give more focus. And yeah, so now like we have like now we wanted to give focus on the risk part. So as and when our life become easy, there is a risk increase because we wanted to cover everything like automatic and very easiest way. But if you think about the connectivity is increased, more data communication which are happening, but at the same time, a lot of new risks are coming up. So what kind of new risks are coming up? If you focus on those parts, something if you build like a kind of POC kind of things or small demonstrator demo kind of things, and if you showcase to the different forum, would be very awesome to go ahead with those ideas into the industries. Also can be useful to publish those concepts into the paper as well. So let us see like what kind of cyber risks are there and what kind of new area where we can give a more focus. All right. So coming to the like we thought of all these technologies and there are many risks associated, but who are the major like persons because of those because of those persons we are doing this kind of activity. So obviously we have hackers into the mind, right? So who all they are doing this kind of thing? Maybe like normal users, normal hackers, or maybe somebody who is like giving your colleagues kind of things where he gives always coming with your teams. Internal peoples are there where they give always smile, but they are internal hackers kind of things. If you think about certain hackers where always they try their intention is to try and hacking the systems. There are certain other like black hat hackers kind of things. They always their intention is always to hack the very critical system. And ultimately, like there are many aggressives and many hackers are there who always doing those kind of activity. Now, coming to these things, the attacks which are happening on the industrial or into the market, which is nowadays increased drastically because of the like AI coming up and ChatGPT which are coming up. So, so as of now, hacking the systems is becoming very easy. Now the moment the things become very easy, people are eager to hack a lot of new things and new other ways. And a lot of bug bounty programs are going on. A lot of other forums are there where you can submit your like hacking techniques and all those things, and you get some rewarded. So these are the different kind of hackers. Their intentions are different, but they keep on hacking the systems. So now once hackers are using a lot of AI kind of things. At the same time, from the development perspective, we have to increase the capability to prevent such kind of attacks. So, like now the boom is increased, the new technology which are coming up, and they to prevent such attacks somewhere into the our curriculum as well, into our research area as well. We have to add such kind of technology to make some different impact on the market. All right. So where those kind of areas are there? So now we wanted to focus more on the area where as a researcher we can give a more focus. So again, like this is the normal SDLC process which we follow and industry follows kind of thing. So when we say the functional requirement, what is the parallel activity into the functional requirement? So when any bigger project is starting, any kind of product is going to be started for the development, this is the normal activity, like security requirement. So whenever such projects started for the functional requirement, we have to have a security requirement. Likewise, this. So another way, let's say once functional requirement is completed, we have an architecture design. So when designing is going on, component design, block diagrams, and the data flow designs, everything is completed, we have to have a secure design. So another way, let's say developer has started developing the code. At that time, we have a static code analysis. So these are the like parallel activity which we have to think about from the cybersecurity perspective. When there is a software testing is started, we have a penetration testing kind of things. We have to hack the systems in a real likely to be a real time environment, and we have to hack the system internally. And then when product is being released, at that time our responsibility is to make certain activity on the post release of the cybersecurity requirement kind of things. So here, when we think about the system design, there are many challenges are there how we can have a secure design. Now, for example, normally design we call it as there is a one client server, a lot of other components are connected. There is a cloud environment. So those kind of communications are there into your diagrams. So how you can make such things secure? So there are standards and techniques available, but if you think about, let's say your microcontroller is there into your diagrams, or your hardware there into the diagram. So that hardware is connecting some other remote component or some other users. So that kind of things, when such things happens, how you can protect your own hardware, how you can protect your own devices. So at that point of time, some novel way of solutions are required. Because now, what kind of novel solutions we require is, we can note it down as a very lightweight solutions which can be deployed on the devices which are highly expected into the market. Because the very tiny devices, very small devices, they do not have capability to execute very complex algorithms. For example, if you want to develop develop AES into the hardware, it's not straightforward. We can implement AES into the hardware. Rather, we have to have some lightweight approach to execute to enable security into the target machine. So this way, what are the different attacks are there, and how we can prevent your own product as a systems when it is going to deploy on the customer side. And other way, there is a good area where we can generate the attack trees. What are the possible various paths through which attacker can come into the systems and can hack it. So this is like some of the area where we can give a more focus. On the other way, there is a code development. We have a like static code analysis. There are like many tools available which can be used for the static code analysis. So static code analysis means does your code contains any kind of vulnerabilities? Does your code contains any kind of weaknesses? So those kind of things we have to identify first. One of the very classic example I would say, many of we are developing programs into the C++. Now, when we develop any kind of program in C++, we use pointers. Have ever we think about like releasing the pointer could lead like dangerous attack? So normally we are freezing up the pointers to release the memory, and that is what the normal practice that we follow into the programming. But we use static code analyzer as well to identify various weaknesses. But have you ever generated the path with the exceptions flow where a similar kind of pointers, once it is freed, called again and again? So when multiple freeing the object happens, multiple free of the pointers happens, it may lead to the dangerous attack called like remote code executions and other things are happening. And this is one of the example of recently submitted one of the issues into the open SSLs. So these are the small things which are coming up into the very like dangerous forms, and which leads the product into the critical stages. So to avoid those kind of things, we have to give a more focus on the secure code development. So earlier into the design, we think about how we can make components secure. Into the source code, how you can generate a secure way of writing a code. So secure programming is a very novel, good area. And other way like penetration testing. So it's like a very bigger area where we have to have understanding of the how we can do a penetration test on the particular product. So it's a real hacking kind of thing where a lot of areas are there. I'm going to cover in the later part, but we have to give a focus on those parts. Like what I feel is like many of the like researchers and many of the research labs where like few labs are there where these kind of activity which are happening on the pen testing part perspective. But we have to increase some of the area. We have to make some laboratories and some of the group of researchers who can do a novel way of hacking on the systems. So earlier we used to have a hack on the web, but let us make some small forums where we can hack on the particular hardware. So those kind of capabilities we have to increase. And the post release is what kind of activity in terms of security we have to take care about the on the product after release. So there are many areas are there across the SDLC where we can explore here and there and make a novel solutions in terms of cyber security. So this is SDLC and this is secure SDLC. All right. So now coming to the industrial IoT, like this, like already we discussed, but some of the area where we have to think about the in a different way. So I will help you to understand how to generate the different ideas. For example, let's say these are the future automations technology. For example, smart factory. We already discussed like future of the factory of the futures, industry 4.0. These are the various areas where we have to give more focus. Other way, into this particular blocks, we see about certain. Sometimes we have to take care about the integrity, confidentiality, availability. So these are the area where we have to give a more focus. Now, how to generate the problem statement? So when we think about like CIA tried. I think many of you are aware about CIA tried. So considering this CIA, just ask one question about C, like what kind of confidential information you need. And let us take the communication protocol, for example, OPC UA, or let's say MQTT. And take one example of, let's say, Raspberry Pi or your STM32 microcontroller. So it is connecting to the other component. Now, let's say we have to write our protection goals for each goal of CIA, confidentiality, integrity, and availability. So for this component, what are the area where there could be an attack possible? So, for example, confidential things. What are the confidential data where you have to give a more focus for the protections? And once this communication this communication protocol is identified, how we can make small algorithms to prevent such attacks on the particular component. So likewise, just write down all your protections goals. And once you write down your protection goals, write down the weaker area of the protections, weaker area of that particular component. Find out and go and find out various kind of like CVEs available on the market. If you see about known vulnerabilities, if you see about published CVEs, from where you can pick up some of the points where which lags behind into the cybersecurity for a particular component, and write down the new solutions. So likewise for integrity, likewise for confidentiality, integrity, and availabilities. For all those three perspectives, let us come up with some of the solutions. Now, what you should avoid is, for example, one particular product is, let's say, for example, one PLC is there. Like many of you guys work on the PLC part. So this PLC, like as and when I see this is like popular product or a popular area where PLC is being used. And many of the hackers, they are hacking the PLCs. Now, should I hack this PLC and make the DOS attack? Normally, we start doing like this. As soon as we feel something, okay, this is easy to hack, we start off hacking and writing some of the research paper on the mitigation part. And while submitting this paper, may not be in our favor as well. So rather than understand the target device, target product, and see if I perform a DOS attack, will the company will accept your solutions? Probably sometime no, because the availability is not their concerns. If the product is going to down for, let's say, 1 hour, they are least bother about those things. And this is what, like, the day-to-day life, we are expecting these kind of solutions. So in my organization as well, like whenever we perform DOS attack, product team, they said, no, we don't require your solutions for DOS, because the availability of that product is least concern. So we will skip about those parts. Likewise, for any kind of product where you see integrity, like changing of the data, unauthorized way, if you come up with some novel solutions to how to protect those data, then it could be a best fit solutions into the market. And the different patent can also come out from that part. Now, when we say about integrity, there are three aspects of thinking of the integrity. And always we have to think about the data. Now, like data in a REST is one of the example, like data in the communication, data in a transit. Sorry, data in a REST means it is stored data. Data in transit, like how you can protect your data into the during the communication, and how you can protect the data which is data in use. So normally we overlook those kind of things while you are hacking part, but we should give a more focus on the data in use part, which is directly talking to the applications. So for example, let's say the data which are there in the memory. So many attacks which are already happened using those kind of weak memory management and created the disaster on the plant or factory. For example, the classic example for this is Stuxnet. I think many of you might have heard about Stuxnet. So the attack which was happened on the, like some of the PLC kind of things where they hacked some of the memory, they injected some of the code as well. and hacking using those kind of weaknesses into the memory. They try to execute certain payloads, like some of the malwares, which has executed successfully on the plant or factory, and it has like spread across the network. So the root cause was very simple, but it has created the disaster. And some of the like bigger plant, they were impacted using those kind of attack as well. So think about CIA protection goal. Go and find out the like market-driven approach, market demanded communication protocol, and some of the like hardware configurations, also like software configurations. Work on those part and showcase your talents or showcase your expertise into the good forum will help us to go ahead with those kind of things. And maybe this will be helpful for the MTech and PhD as well. So think about those part would be very much useful. And I think this journey, like everybody's aware about, like here and there, like industry 1.0, 2.0, 3.0, and nowadays industry 4.0, which is like more likely to hack than the older one, because those kind of technologies which were not there earlier, but technology is there, integration is there, and we have hacking tools are also there. So those perspectives are increasing the demand for the cybersecurity. So let us go to the different. Yeah, this is important nowadays. So let us think about the other perspective of the hacking. There are certain solutions, like it may be IoT solution, it may be OT solution as well, where many of time we use real-time monitorings. Many of time we use RTOS, real-time operating systems. How many of you are working on the RTOS? How many of you are knowing about RTOS? RTOS. So it's like where there is a like scheduling is important, where there is a timing is important. At that time, we use those kind of platform to implement our product. So, sorry. So when such things are there, how can we hack the real-time systems? How can we hack our real-time monitoring systems? And for that, we have to understand the existing like technologies. For example, RTOS is there. For example, there are like real-time algorithms available where we have to understand like how it allocate the memory, how it is like allocating some of the objects, some of the handles which are there into the underlying programs. So when we understand these things and make some impact on the particular project, where we can write some of the research papers and come up with the different solutions. So likewise, process controlling as well, and some of the preventive maintenance. Can we make some approach using AI, ML, or Gen AI kind of things, where we can predict some of the like advanced bug into the plant or factory on or in your project. So if you make such things, I think this is demanding. This is also demanding to the market as well. So these are the like area where we have to give a certain importance and come up with some of the solutions. Okay, another way, as we already know about, it increase the attack surfaces. It also increase the cybersecurity risk, and some of the complexity which is also increased. Like once we think about the increasing the complexity, means the lot of integration which are coming up from the technology perspective. Once such integrations happens, the attacks are increasing a lot. Very good example called let's say there is a good product which we develop, and we wanted to monitor that particular product using our like smart applications, which is going to be there into the mobile app. So when a mobile app is there, and we have to connect to the plant or factory or some of the remote devices, think about the communication which are happening. So from the mobile to the internet to the next network which are coming up from the customer side, and then it is creating a connections. So all those way the connection which are happening is like very novel connections, but it increase the number of risks. So what could be the different kind of attacks which are happening? So any guesses like when you think about your mobile app, which is talking to the hardware on the external network, what could be the different kind of attacks? So this is like a area where particularly we are also looking for some sort of solutions. So like maybe wanted to understand from the audience if somebody can put up some message. Have you ever worked on the such kind of area where you can put some of the external communications, some of the communications to the hardware? We wanted to prevent something on the hardware perspective. And any kind of things like anybody's doing. If you raise your like hands, would be very much helpful to understand for me.
So can you please repeat your question?
Yeah. So let's say if you think about the uh, novel way of integration uh, of the product. For example, today I want to make one mobile app. This mobile app is going to talk to the controller on the devices, right? So this kind of communication which are happening. Let's say one device is on the there into the field. It has a communication between uh, the devices and the mobile app. So mobile app has some controlling parameters which can control on the devices. So if you think about this small like small project, have you ever worked on those kind of domains? Have you ever worked on such kind of environment, such kind of communication protocol? So this will be a very good like to start to 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 begin with the cybersecurity on the niche area that on this is looking for. Any thoughts on those things? Anybody is working on those kind of area? Maybe I think not now, but maybe you can think this particular like attack surface and come up with the you come up with your thoughts later point of time. All right, so let us go to the different domain. Okay, I'll just skip one of the common area here. Okay, I think all of you are aware about this particular image. It is talking about the OOPS, right? So OOPS 2017 has some of the priority. OOPS 2021 has some of the priority. So if you think about let's say OOPS 2021, which has change in terms of the attacks which are happening. For example, uh, we are mostly like interested into the area called, let's say, insecure design, in like security misconfigurations. So these are the area where like a lot of attentions are coming up. And if you see about these are the new means, it is newly added into the cybersecurity domain, not particular domain, but the attacks which are happening is a very novel way which are happening on this particular area. Another way, let's say, software and data integrity failures. And this is like as like a server side request forgery. Although it was new, but the way the attacks which are happening is in a different way. So let us focus on this like hierarchy and come up with the new way of solutions in terms of security design, in terms of security implementations, or in terms of newer way of uh, protocol design can be a good way of starting to the cybersecurity like research. Okay, so I'll take a pause for a couple of seconds. Any questions till this point of time? Anything you wanted to ask from the audience, from the offline as well? All right, so that's fine. Maybe let us continue with this one. So I think like in these slides, again, I wanted to give more focus on the like particular component side. So we know there are plenty of authentication mechanisms. We know there are a lot of session management which are happening. So these are the like ongoing like developments which are going on the novel way of development of this particular area. But wanted to give a more focus on the component part. So component part, let's say we have one particular device, and for that we wanted to generate some of the identity of that particular devices. So tomorrow we are going to flash our software, our firmware into the device. Why I am giving a more focus on the device part? Because uh, the 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 market which are using the like varieties of devices is huge. The demand of cybersecurity for the device perspective is also huge. So we can call it as a hardware device, hardware security, or the device related securities. So think about one given a device. We don't want anybody to change the underlying hardware and software. Can we think on that particular part? Like whenever anybody is changing something on the software perspective, we should be able to get some alert on the screen or on the monitor. If somebody is changing the hardware, can we get some notifications on the operator perspective? So I would encourage everyone or those who are interested in the cybersecurity domain for the hardware perspective can look out these two features. So the idea call it as a device attestations. How remotely we can monitor the device in terms of cybersecurity health. So for that, there are certain areas where people are working. One of the area which we call it as a PUF. It's a like PUF, physically unclonable functions. So when anybody wants to do a research on this particular domain, they can explore the area called PUF, and many products which are coming up, many novel like paper which are coming up on the PUF technology, where there are different kind of PUFs are available. We can take one of the PUF and implement some small lightweight approach and make some like advanced research. Those could be the very much like useful area. Now, why this area is important? Because no one should extract anything from our device. Let's say today, like for example, my company, it has developed one of the product, hardware product, and which is there into the market. And if somebody extracts something from the my own device, let's say it has taken my firmware. So what that guy will do, it will extract the firmware and go away. They build their own component. They reuse their particular software or the firmware and make their own product, and again they can resell the product. So how we can have a novel way of protection of those kind of things where nobody can extract anything from the hardware. One of the example called, let's say, into the hardware, there are JTAG port. Many of those who are from electronics communications or electrical background, they might be knowing about the JTAG port. If JTAG port is enabled, we can extract the entire firmware and we can reuse those parts. So how to prevent such things? Likewise, how to prevent our own configurations protected. So that is very much like niche area, and if somebody might have a novel approach, we can think later as well. We can have some sort of research on those particular areas as well. So that is why I am giving a more focus on the component side, on the hardware perspective. And these are the like things which are as normal as people are working, and market is also demanding that part. Will not go into the technical environment perspective, but only one thing I would focus on this system hardening. System hardening has also taken has taken some of the attention. How a smarter way we can have a hardening of the systems. So hardening means your Windows is there, whether it is patch or not. whether it has required to enable some of the rules on the hardware, on the system itself. So those kind of things which we require to give a more focus on the hardening side. So one is a product security, one is a system security, and one is your like a communication security kind of things. So where all those things are clubbed together, there is a huge risk of the attacks. So those part are like highly important nowadays. All right, so this is the very much important research area where you can pick up anything. You can pick up any kind of your applications, your product, or any kind of thickland applications where you can start working on this particular part. Mainly, this device spoofing, as I already told about, device spoofing is very much important, and also the physical tampering. These two things are much more important, where we can have like a good discussions at later point of time as well. Like maybe we have an engagement as well, and other things in terms of the supply chain, as I discussed already, and the firmware vulnerabilities. So looking to these things, we can have a good research as well. And the last but not important, like not the least is the secure boot mechanisms. Have you ever worked on, or have you ever covered the secure boot mechanism in the curriculum, or is anybody has working on the secure boot? So secure boot means like what are the applications that we wanted to boot, or those are intended to be put on the applications should be allowed to execute. No other applications would be allowed to load into the particular machine. Similarly, the secure boot or secure boot for the device, secure boot for the system as well. For example, there is a secure boot mechanism on the Linux machines. Similarly, there are secure boot mechanisms on the devices which are there on the market or which are there on the field. For example, let's say your smart traffic monitoring systems. So whenever we are deploying that on the signal, it has some hardware, and that has like boot sequence whenever it start loading the application. So if somebody as a hackers can connect the device, inject the newer software and update the particular the software, and again it will reboot the system, your device would run on the unusual way. So how to prevent such kind of insecure boot can also be an important way. And particularly also we have to think about the how we can remotely change the security keys on the hardware or on the firmware. So how remotely can be done it in a secure way? As we already brought up a point of device attestations. So how to remotely controlling the devices, how to remotely store the device on the target device or target machine, how securely we can update some of the keys on the target device or on the remotely connected devices. So this area which we can give a like slightly more attention, and further can be explored as well. Likewise, these are the as I discussed, what are like industry looking for some of these solutions. Here will not give, spend much time, but later we'll think on this field. Yeah. All right. So I'll spend a couple of minutes over here. So what could be the best practices? Now, when I say best practices, we have to understand the technology in detail, and we have to do some hands-on on the development perspective, how to develop such algorithms and how to hack that algorithm. For example, the best practices says that encrypt all the data. Now, when I say the component which is not capable, they cannot encrypt all the data, right? So rather you have to have some of the lighter way approach. This is like encryption side, but on the on the side where we have to manage such password. We have to manage such security keys on the component which is not in our control, which is already there into the field. So think about the best way of storing of the password, best way of storing of the encryption keys. So still like the way that we are implementing on the platform level may be hacked by the application layers. So there are many attacks which are happening from the memory also. There are many attacks which are happening on the interfaces as well, where we can take the advantage and get the keys back to the can those kind of keys can be revealed. So likewise, what could be the storage mechanisms can be applicable to the some of the lightweight devices? What are the best way where we can propose to the systems where it has a computational more capable? So that way we have to think about the storage management and some of the area where we can update the secure way of patch management. We know how to apply the patches. Something like okay, download the patch and update the patch on the particular your device or your software. But is it secure? Whatever patches that we downloaded are secure. Maybe we are not sure about what is happening. And not only that things, but whatever thing, let's say, for example, recently, some malware activity happens on the my mobile as well, because of some of the apps which are downloaded, which has taken the control of the other application as well. So that way, and that is because of happening the different software we are downloading, different patches we are downloading. How we can tick mark that yes, this patch is safe and we can upload on the devices. Now always we think about okay, patch management, nothing is there, it is just download it, it will scan it using your antivirus software, the things are done. But think about the think about very much very sensitive applications which are there on the field. For example, it is connecting to the boiler. If it is connecting to the pressure systems, where a small change into the pressure, let's say if I change from 5 to 50, it will create a disaster kind of thing. So how to protect those things? How to protect your memory to the small applications, which is important to go ahead and doing some research on those part. So likewise, the patch is also important nowadays. And maybe this is again, different flavors of people are working. And again, the important topic over here is a resource constraint. How we can make your applications very light in terms of executions, and because of those kind of resources, we can perform certain attacks. One last example I would give as the various objects which we are creating. How many of you are using C#? Many of you are using C#, right? How many of you are using C++? Many of you are using C and C++. And always we create one object called connections, right? This is a very simple example, but very much important. And I also developed one research where we can hack the system using the object. So when we use connection connections, right? So connection is created, and that object is also created. Now, when we are closing the connections, that time we are writing con.close. So does it mean that con.close is secure? Not at all. Even though it is normal practice that we are closing the object using con.close, but there are certain scripts available, there are certain code available which can again reuse that particular connections object, creating a connections to the target machines, creating a connections to the SQL server, and perform some of the malware activity. Similarly, there are certain handles which we are creating. Handles means, let's say, if you want to create some connections to the TPM chip, many of you are aware about TPM, right? In our laptop also, there is a TPM chip available. Like TPM is a trusted platform module, where we use those TPM chip to perform certain key related activities. Some of the encryption and decryptions can be done using the TPM chip. But to create a connection, we have to create the handles. Now, to create a handle, we have to, again, a similar way we are generating or creating the handles object or handles. Those handles can also be used to hack systems. Now, there is a, like what is the mitigation for it? What is the solution for this? So when we use connection.close, there is an advanced method available to close the connections that is called as connection.dispose. When we destroy the object using dispose method, it will not be regenerated again. It is permanent date. So those things are catchy area where you can get it from the internet and make some like research on those part and make your code secure, make your application secure, kind of thing. So this way, like I would encourage everyone to look at this area and make some sort of like innovative solutions towards those areas. So I'll not go in detail, but I'll maybe I'll stop the things. These are like almost all the things which we covered here and there. Maybe I'll quickly go through this and yeah. So these are the like future industrial IoT communication protocol. If anybody is developing any kind of doing research on this communication protocol, which is already there in demand, all automation factory, automation players into the market, they are using these communication protocols and seeking something, some novel secure solutions for this protocol. And also, this is the OT, like future OT technologies, where we have to do some research on these things and come up with the novel, come up with the like different way of security controls. So maybe I'll not go through each one, but these are the for your reference purpose and could be the good one for the research. And maybe I think this is not like important to this particular talk, but let us have some of the forums, some of these like short collaborations where we do some sort of some research and make some research innovatives and some of the paper publications as well. Yeah. Maybe I'll stop here. Any questions from your from the audience? We can discuss over here. Any questions? Anything that anybody wants to discuss? All right. So I think if there is no questions, then I'm stopping. There is no other point to discuss. I'm just completing this presentation. Thank you, everyone. Anything from your side, Subhash sir?
I think there is a question on the chat room.
Oh, okay.
Or rather, couple. It says, can you please explain the role of OWASP web testing framework in cybersecurity?
Sorry, can you come again?
Oh, I'm just reading off the messages. It says, my question is, can you explain the role of OWASP web testing framework?
Yeah. So basically, OWASP is a organization available which day to day, like yearly and periodically publish the latest demand on in terms of attacks. For example, let's say supply chain attacks. So OAuth always publishing the current requirement of attacks. For example, let's say device tampering is one of the area where should be given more focus. So OAuth is the organizations which always publish this kind of high priority attacks. So that way it helps us. Yeah.
And Gaurang, there is another question from Vidya. It's tell about cloud auditing protocol available for privacy preserving.
Correct. So, like privacy is important as usual, and if you think about lot of standards, for example, let's say IEC 62443 is one of the standard. There are like NIST guidelines are there. So there are certain standards and protocols which are available, which always deals with the privacy. And for other way, there are a lot of way into the cloud also how to prevent your data as a privacy. So if your product is going to be there into the US market, there are different way of privacy. If your product is going to be into the European region, there is a different privacy like standards. So likewise, we have to understand like what is your requirement, and then we can go with the privacy part. But privacy is important as of now, and I would bring one important topic over here. There is a CRA coming up into the UA. Everybody can search on this particular word, EU CRA. So this CRA always take about what are the requirement for data. For example, GDPR. GDPR always take about the data privacy and data like security of the data kind of things. So yeah, always there is a certain protocol like methods available, mechanism available for the cloud where we have to think about the privacy part. But it depends on the target applications. Yeah. Right. Any other point?
Don't see anything. Vidya.
Will you please elaborate the term hardware Trojan? Yeah. So basically, what happened? Let's say hardware. There are a lot of Trojans are there. There are a lot of types of attacks are there. For example, simple virus is there. There are Trojan is one of the flavor of the attacks. Other way there are let's say varieties of attack where it completely override, completely encrypt your data, and it will ask for the money to pay to make the systems available as it is. So there are certain Trojans are there which take the control of the devices. There are certain like Trojan kind of things, but it is like a malware kind of things where it takes about the control of the hardware part. So it may create like ransomware kind of things. Not exactly ransomware, but it's one of the flavor where Trojan centers, it takes the control of the devices. It may override everything. It may encrypt the data entirely and make the systems unavailable. So likewise, there are certain Trojans are there where people are developing those Trojans and sending across the network. So that part we have to think about in terms of hardware security. Yeah. But not limited to the which I told. There are a lot of flavors are there where we think about the hardware Trojan part. Yeah. Yeah. Any other questions? All right. I think if there is no questions, thank you so much. Thank you, everyone.
Sir, good evening, sir. Sir, I have
Good
one
evening.
question regarding the lightweight encryption protocols are required for the encryption in the IoT because IoT is continuously pinging the data and sending it to the clouds?
Yeah, so correct. Lightweight is very much it's a buzzword in the market. Lightweight in terms of it will take very lightweight computations power, memory, and all those things. And there are many products are there where there is a sensor is on the field. Let's say it's a flow meter kind of things, sensing a data and sending to the controller, and controller is sending a data to the cloud. So controller has a limited capability to encrypt the data. So at that point of time, we have to have a lightweight approach. Otherwise, direct straightforward EES RSA is not going to run on the particular devices. So even if like a sensor is like less capability on the sensor side, it may not have a capability, but we have to put it in a restricted area in a trust zone, take the data on the next level of the hardware, and then send the data to the cloud. So that this way we have to have like secure way of communications to the end device to the cloud kind of thing. But yeah, we have to have some lightweight approach as well.
Yes, sir. Means there are too many hierarchy levels. First level lightweight, then moderate, like this way, sir?
Not exactly. Let's say, see, first thing we have to understand the lifespan of the data. How critical data is there. For example, if your data which is going on the server, and in between somebody hacked the data, how impact would create and on that particular hijack data. Now, first layer is on the level 0. If you see about the Purdue model, level number 0 is the AND devices, and that device has a very light capability. So there are internal hackers are there. There are the plant and factory insider hackers are there, where they can hack the systems. So that part is reachable to the internal hacks kind of thing. So initially we have to have some encryptions. We don't know where sensor is there. We don't know how the data is transmitted. If it is wireless communications, we have to have encryptions. If it is a wired communications, we also have to have some encryptions. So if somebody is changing the data at the root point, we are gone. So at the first step, we have to encrypt the data. Let's say it is going to the next step. Now, this is very important point where level 0 is sending a data to the level 1. There the attack surface is low. At that point of time, we have a lightweight approach because it is not internet exposed. So the number of attacks which are going to happen and this particular communication is less. So let us have a very small encryptions, encrypt the data and send it to the next level. After that, it is sending a data to the level 2. The exposure is increased. At that, if you go that hierarchy, the highest level has a attack surface is very high. It is internet exposed, so people will hack like anything. So the way that it is crossing the level of the Purdue model, it requires the security slightly higher. So always we have to have some encryptions to the bottom to the top level as well. So yes, we require encryption at that point as well.
Okay, sir. Thank you so much, sir. Got it, sir.
Any other point? Any other questions? All right, I think any other pending questions? Let me open up the chat. Right. If there is no questions, I think it is good to close here. Anything would you like to add, sir?
Thanks a lot, sir.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Now we are moving to the session 2. Good evening, everyone. I am Raghunath from Jalpaiguri Government. Good evening, everyone. I am Raghunath from Jalpaiguri Government Engineering College and welcome you to ACTC sponsored ATAL Online Academic Development Program, Smart Computing and its applications in cyber defense and digital forensic, organized by Jalpaiguri Government Engineering College. I would like to welcome the session chair. Sir, Samit Majumdar is technology leader in delivering leading-edge technology solutions across diverse line of businesses, known for aligning technology with business strategies, emphasizing stronger customer relationships, and excel at identifying and developing technological solutions to complex business challenges. Takes pride in building technology teams and enabling them to leverage their unique strengths in delivering results. In his current role as an executive director, he is leading infrastructure delivery for complex lines of business driven programs, modernizing their application portfolios through adoption of cloud. Past 2 years, 2020 to 2024, he has built generative AI capability enhancement and formed through Azure OpenAI. Prior to the role at JPMC, Mr. Majumdar served as our cloud product manager for the global cybersecurity team. As a product manager, Mr. Majumdar had been responsible for enabling line of business partners to security adopt private and public cloud services. Prior to the joining the JPMC cybersecurity team in April 2018, Mr. Majumdar spent 18 years at Capital One Bank, Richmond, in various technology delivery leadership roles. Prior to public cloud adoption program at Capital One, Mr. Majumdar had led multiple enterprises wide program to consolidate 11 data centers into 5. He has also managed technology delivery for end-to-end infrastructure services at Capital One. Now, what do you say?
Thank you so much for the intro. Hope you all can hear me. All good? Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Okay.
sir.
Thank you for confirming and thank you for going through the text of what my background is. Appreciate that. First of all, I'd like to thank the organizing committee, specifically Dr. Berman, for staying in touch and giving me the opportunity. When I look at the panel list, well, all the prestigious academician and established in the industry. I do not have a doctorate degree, but what I'm very proud of, I'm ex-JGEC, as we call it, Jolu. So I graduated out of Jolu in 1996, electrical engineering. And after that, I started my career. I worked in India for about 3.5 years. And then back in 2000, I moved to US, did my MBA in here, but not really progressed much in the academics front. My whole experience is around the industry and specifically in the financial industry. And as the topic of this seminar is around cybersecurity, which is kind of a cornerstone of building secure infrastructure for any financial sector, you all know that it deals with people's money. So from get-go, even 20 years back, the threat landscape was different. The challenges were different. And these days, as the evolution of technology is happening, the challenges change. So before I get into the topic itself, which is machine learning demystified, I'd like to just have a picturized view of my background that you just heard. So I'm going to share my screen. And let me see. Right up, it's asking me to change some settings. And there you go. And security settings, of course, it's not letting me. Let me see. Select a tab, window. Okay, would you please excuse me? It is asking me to rejoin the Google Meet. It'll be just a second. Okay, it's not letting me share because of the security settings I have.
Yes, sir. No issue.
Okay, I'm back on. Hope you guys can hear me.
Yes, sir.
Okay,
Yes, sir.
thank you for confirming. Thank you. Just give me a second. I'm going to pull up the presentation again. And this one. Cool. All right. View. Share my screen. Let's show. And here on the tab.
Sir, beside the hand sign.
No, I got that. It was my setting which was causing it. Is my window shared now? Can you see my screen? Can anyone please confirm?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Is it a slide?
Yes, sir, fine.
Perfect. Thank you.
It's
totally
visible.
Okay. So just start with me. I'll take 5 minutes here. As you can see, I proudly display our Jalpaiguri Engineering College logo over there. Still remember those days between 1992 and 96 when I stayed at Jalpaiguri Engineering College to complete my undergrad in electrical engineering. Education-wise, beyond that point, I went to Virginia Commonwealth University at Richmond, Virginia, in the United States, while I was working at Capital One to complete my MBA in finance. Now, if you look at my career-wise, 28 years in the technology space since I graduated from Jalpaiguri Engineering College. And out of that, 24 years in the financial sector. So I was at Capital One Bank in Richmond, Virginia for 18 years and last about 7 years at JP Morgan Chase at Dallas, Texas. Now, if you see picturization-wise, shows my passion in terms of what I do outside of my day job at work as well. So Deep Racer, you see this logo in here. I'll cover that topic as well. It is a fun way, I would rather say, to learn the reinforcement machine learning. So we can touch on the topic specifically. There are certain things I will touch on that you can take back and really take advantage of. It is on AWS. What I like doing outside of work, you can see this picture. I'd like to give back to the society itself, do a lot of volunteer work. You can see I'm cooking out there for a place where children in Texas, they come for their treatment. So This organization, what they do, they provide staying areas like an accommodation and food. So there are organizations who go there, cook for the whole family of like 70, 80 families out there who stay out there. My community organization went there and served there. The top right corner, the picture with snow is what I used to do back in my Richmond, Virginia days. It is a cold place. Winter, there will be a ton of snow. I don't miss that snow shoveling during winter. At Virginia, it gets cold. It gets cold in the sense it gets probably negative 5, 10, but not that much snow in there. Also, here and there, I love cooking. So you can see the picture of the bird, turkey, which I cooked in Thanksgiving. I like outdoor hiking. You see the picture in there. Also, I love other sports when I get a chance, like rafting, whitewater rafting. On this picture, you can see. And when I moved to Texas, it is kind of, you can compare with the Rajasthan or Delhi kind of weather in Dallas, Texas area. It's little barren out there. It's not that green, doesn't get that severe snow. So I was challenged that, well, doing gardening in here would be a weird thing to do. But I took up the challenge, and you can see a picture of my backyard. I do a lot of gardening in terms of doing produces and also flowers. So that's a quick thing outside of the topic, outside of the academics. I wanted to just share quickly about myself, so you get to know where my passions lie and what I do outside of my day job as well, right? Now, getting into the topic itself is machine learning demystified, right? I would like to start with the backbone of machine learning. What does it mean? How does it translate to AI? And also relation to cybersecurity. I'll touch on Gen AI, which I have a generative AI. That has been my focus at work for last 2+ years. Now, before I get started, I have a request for this audience, right? I don't want to make it just one way, me talking and presenting and having question and answer at the end, but would really like to be interactive. Is that something we all can do? I cannot just do the interaction by myself. So can I please get some reaction or speak up if you are aligned with that mode of delivery of this presentation? Not being one way. Yep, I see some reactions coming through. Please raise your hand, come off mute, stop me, and ask questions, right? So I know which areas. It's a very vast area. And my slides are covering certain areas. I can go in there, but if you have interest in there, just stop me, right? So this is a noble effort that ATAL is doing, the organizers are doing in terms of uplifting faculties. And I strongly believe as a stronger faculty, you can build the talents within the undergrad program at the college itself, who is going to go out in the industry, being industry ready, what they want to solve for. So this noble effort, let's make it interactive. All right. So moving on, what is machine learning, right? To start with, machine learning itself works like how our human brain works. We have tried to mimic that through computer-generated code in simplistic terms. So think about it when a newborn comes to this world, a human being, right? So a baby, tiny one, infant, right? Just born. It has a brain that gets developed. It learns. So first thing is learning. And the learning turns into intelligence as it has gathered more learning and applies that learning to practice, right? Are you with me so far? Can I get some reactions, please? Or speak up?
Yes, sir.
Okay, cool. All right. So when there is a trainer, in terms of real world, right? The trainer could be a parent, could be a friend, could be an older sibling, or could be any other relatives or friends and family, and or a bystander, right? They tell the baby, newborn baby, who is the trainee in this case, just try to mimic it with the machine world versus the human world, right? They are training, looking at the picture, and then it comes to the real object itself. Well, that's a picture of a dog, like the books with pictures, right? This is a picture of a car. This is a picture of a cat, right? And then that's a kind of input is provided to the trainee by the trainer. And then the question is asked to the trainee, the baby, to see whether the baby has developed the intelligence or not, right? The response, based on the responses, the baby thinks, well, I have learned it. If the baby is told too many times no, their reaction will be crying, right? So that's how the baby learns. And in the real world also, the same thing happens, right? With the machine learning,
পড়াশোনা মানে নরমাল 11-12 এর এন্ট্রান্সের প্রিপারেশন থেকে করতে পারতো না।
I think it's a side talk.
11-12 করবো, এরপরে যদি মনে হয় 1 বছর প্রিপেয়ার করবো, আর নাইলে যদি পয়সা দিয়ে ভর্তি করবো।
পয়সা দিয়া কেআইটি দিয়েও আজকাল লোকে পয়সা দিয়ে ভর্তি হয়। 96-7% আসলে মানুষের পয়সা দিয়ে বিআইটি কেআইটি তে যায়। পয়সা থাকলে এই দেশে নাম তো আছে।
Can organizers please mute that line, Sujata Saha? Thank you. So coming to the machine learning itself, right? How computer identified cats or dogs. So how humans do the baby when the baby will start, right? So looks at the features, right? The fur, the eyes, or the shape of it, right? Even though the picture is shown in real life, there are different colors, different breeds, different sizes of cats or dogs, right? Machine also does the same way. So if you see the left-hand side, there are all sorts of pictures of cat and dog, and I'm talking about machine learning. How does the machine learn, right? It looks at, and what it does, it breaks it down into features on which it applies the algorithm. So as opposed to a programming code which you write to do certain functions, here these machine learning algorithms which are written with like HAR, HOG, or SIFT or SURF, right? So those, what it does, it looks at the picture, processes it, it tries to identify or pixelify the patterns that it can apply then to the real world when another picture of the cat is shown, and it can identify is as a cat out of say 100 other pictures of other objects and or animals, right? So are you with me so far? Anyone, please?
Yes, sir.
Okay, perfect. So the machine also, this machine does a similar way, the human brain, and you must have heard about the neural network. That's how we are trying to mimic the algorithm that we apply in the machine learning that mimics our human brain's neural network itself, right? So what is very critical in this learning, as you saw in the previous slides, or even your real life experience from learning is based on the data, right? So data is very critical and pertinent data, meaning which is relevant, which is contextualized for that learning. So we started with a picture of a cat or a dog, right? We narrowed it down so very specific with thousands and thousands of pictures that you might see out in the internet to a specific type of animal, to two specific type of animals, and talking about them. So essentially, when you are going to build a model, you are going to train it, the training has to be built on a certain set of cats picture only. That means you need to, if you have, say, 200 trillion files of different objects from the internet, you have to really narrow it down which are for cats and dogs. So data cleansing is so critical how you want to train your model. Before you start training your model, data preparation is very critical. Without relevant data, it is not going to, the model will be trained. It will not really converge. The model training will not be sufficient. And when you try to apply, right, so model serving, it will not going to produce the intended result, right? So data is the king, not any data, data cleansing, data ingestion, and data transformation, and validating the data is real before you train your model with the data is very critical. So can I get a reaction of what is so critical in terms of machine learning? Anyone, please? Just say the word.
Data cleansing.
All of data, yeah, data cleansing is very important. Data preparation in terms of cleansing is part of preparation, as you can see. Perfect, thank you. So once you have the data, you create your algorithm in your code. That's your model, right? So that's building a model right here. And you train the model, optimize. Once you train the model, you want to validate the model, whether the model is performing with a data set which is outside of the training subset the way it is intended to do. Meaning you have provided, say, 10,000 pictures of cats to the model, and you have trained it, this is the picture of a cat. And then once the training has happened, you see the model is converging. So you take it to the reviewer and you provide it with 100 pictures, of which only 2 are cats, right? So you want to identify the success rate of the model, validating, that's the model validation. And then once you do with the sample data, you train at scale with much larger data, and then your model converges and your model is ready to serve, right? You put the model in production to serve in real world, right? You roll out that model, it goes to model serving, but that's not the end of it. Just like software development lifecycle, SDLC. How many of you are familiar with, I'm pretty sure you are familiar with the SDLC term, right? Software development lifecycle. A life cycle is a continuous cycle. It's not ending. There is no finite end. You are done with it, right? You have to do continuous development, coming back, have the feedback. Similar to that, in machine learning, MDLC has to be done. It has to be a continuous life cycle. So I'll take a pause here on the basic concept of how does machine learning work. And we have touched on only machine learning. We have not moved to artificial intelligence yet, right? So I'll take a pause here. I'll take a few questions before I move on to artificial intelligence. So please fire up your question. Anyone? No questions?
Sir, I have a question.
Sure, please, fine.
Can anyone learn machine learning without basic knowledge of engineering or technical background?
Oh, you are saying if you do not have enough technical background, can you do machine learning, right?
Yes, sir. So if some of my friends, those who are from not engineering background, they want to learn the machine learning.
Absolutely. And the question is, in short, just one word to answer is yes, right? There are a lot of base models out in the world. If you recall, I was showing AWS Deep REST way to learn machine learning. I'll touch on that later in the presentation. Well, the short answer is you don't have to the base model. If you see this slide, you need to have it. Just build a so you or your friend or whoever does not have a background with the machine learning, you cannot write your base code. You can start with the off-the-shelf base model. There are many base models out in the world, and you can train and find to do a good job. So no, the answer is you don't have it. What you need is your thought process, your curiosity, and your analytical mindset and brain to build into or to dig in and apply to the algorithm, development of the algorithm, watching how the model is the feedback, and again fine-tuning the model in terms of different parameters to train it. Great question though. Thank you. Any other question?
Thank you, sir.
Please don't be shy. There is no such thing as irrelevant question. All right. With the quiet audience, I'm going to move on.
So
Yep.
there is one question. When we talk about machine learning and artificial intelligence, are both the fields are completely different fields, or they are interrelated with each other? Or when we talk about only machine learning, we say machine learning, or we say artificial intelligence. So how
Right.
both of them are connected to each other? Thank you, sir.
Perfect question. And it's a perfect segue moving from machine learning to the artificial intelligence. So I touched a little bit on it. They are correlated. So data, machine learning, artificial intelligence. It cannot, like artificial intelligence, if you think about a human intelligence, cannot be developed without learning. What we are doing here, we are learning together, right? Until we learn it, how our intelligence is going to be developed. So they are, and for learning, we need data, we need material, we need input that from which we can learn. So it's just like out in our human life, how human brain builds the intelligence, human intelligence, same thing applies to the machine intelligence as well. The artificial intelligence is machine intelligence. The intelligence cannot be developed without the learning. The learning cannot be done without the material or information, which is data in this case, right? So perfect question, perfect segue to AI, right? And you can see the title of the page itself is how it is different from machine learning or deep learning, right? So deep learning is really a subset of machine learning in which like multi-layered learning. I really simplified the machine learning which sits in the middle, but deep learning kind of evolved out of the traditional machine learning to really go very deep into these machine learning areas in layers of learning. But once you have those really artificial intelligence, you can think about which is developed, an outcome of that learning, right? Does that answer your question? So the question was really perfect segue to this slide, right? So I think Maya, you asked the question. Does it answer your question?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Okay, perfect. All right, moving on. And if my pace is fast or slow, and you have to with me, right? So just like we are talking about machine learning, if my input is not relevant to your learning, it's not worth it, right? So the model will fail, right? Meaning it will not be trained. So the same way here, as we are on this specific topic, it is not jiving, it is not making sense, or the topic somewhere you want to put more stress on, please chime in. Without that joint effort, that collaborative effort, learning cannot happen. So moving on to the topic of is this, we are having so much hype about AI/ML these days, right? Is this concept new? It's absolutely is not. AI has been there since 1950s, right? Machine learning and AI and deep learning, it has evolved over time, but this concept of machine learning and building artificial intelligence is absolutely nothing new. Think about 1950s. We are ending up 2024, right? So it is almost 75 years back, right? That concept came in. But why? Why there is so much hype now, right? So what I talked about, what is first? Data, right? Without the data, without the material, how can you learn? The availability of the data, the amount of data needed to properly train a model, it was not available back in the days, right? Evolution of data, like I recall back in the days, I'm talking about early 2000, we at Capital One in the bank, we were just going online, boom of internet, right? there was a storage area, a 3-bay storage area, huge storage area, like width of like each rack space, width of say 2.5 feet. There are 3 of those 6.5 feet tall. That storage area had a capacity, and many of you will get a shocker because it's in your pocket these days. It has 2 terabytes of data in that storage area. The capacity of the storage area was 2 terabytes, right? Which is in your drive, which you can carry in your pocket. You can get a 2 terabytes drive in your pocket these days, right? So think about not only the evolution of the storage, how dense we can store the data, and availability of the data, the amount of data we are capturing these days. Like we are talking here, this session is being recorded, right? Think about that, right? How much data is being stored. So the evolution, the capacity to capture the data, to store the data, and make it available for proper usage. It's not like it's catalog. You can have index data which can be properly introduced. The curation, the data preparation that we are talking about, many of those things are happening while the data is being generated, right? So I'll take a quick pause here. It is very important to understand how the evolution started. This is one of the critical factors. So does it jive with you? Are you still with me in terms of the evolution of the data and how it is impacting why AI ML now? Anyone, please chime in. I think I'm not looking at the chats. Anyone? Please, I saw someone coming up me out.
Huge availability of data.
Huge availability of data, yes, yeah. So availability of the data, and in terms of how it evolved is essentially how efficiently we are able to capture the data, real time, the streaming data. Like think about, we are conversing in here, right? This session is being recorded, which is streamed up. And while it is being streamed up to Google, with this Google Meet, it is being recorded, right? It is already being cataloged, it's stored in a specific space to be trained, right? So it's not about what we are talking here, the materials, the quality, and also Google is capturing the data to improve their product of Google Meet, right? Whether there is quality of data, how many people are there, right? So and how whether there are some interactions cross country. Like think about the time zone difference between where most of the audience is and where I am, right? I'm sitting at Texas, Dallas, and you guys are in India. So how the data is streaming and interacting with it, the data evolution has empowered the ability of machine learning and hence AI and storage cost reduction, which I touched on. Now, outside of data, the next factor is you have the data, right? I was showing in the other slide, 1950 is when we had the AI ML concept. It's nothing new. So what made a difference along with the data is the computing power itself. How quickly the algorithm you are writing to process the data and build the machine learning. If it takes you 6 months to do the machine learning, think about in this day and era, within 6 months, things are obsoleted. Any program you develop, any product you launch, the product companies are killing their own product and bringing up a new product every 3 months, right? So if you are taking 6 months to complete your machine learning training itself, right? The learning itself, and then you apply to production, you're talking about few years down the line. Well, where you started with the data you started 2.5 years back, it is if you want to apply to the real world, it's completely obsoleted, right? So the evolution of the computing power with the GPUs, you hear a lot of hype about GPUs. Have you been tracking how NVIDIA is really becoming one of the critical bottleneck in terms of supplying the GPUs in the world, right? So this graphic processing units, which is very core and critical to the to running training this model, and also in runtime, right? So GPU is very critical, computing power, and the evolution of the computing powers. It's kind of NVIDIA has built its monopoly in the market, but there are many companies like AWS reInvent. They announce they're building their own GPUs. Microsoft is tired of paying this huge money to NVIDIA for paying for this GPUs computing power, so they are building their own GPUs. So that's how the evolution is moving forward. Now, there are a few success stories we have noted in the industry itself, that you can see in the real life implication. Every time, like Google Maps, you guys all use it, right? How it feeds the data based on what data you provide, how it learns, evolves. It's continuous evolution and continuous learning based on the data that is being streamed in and out, right? So here are some examples you can see. The product companies which are using, like says Spark, SQL databases, deep learning, virtual machine learnings, and their implications in the industry. Every product company you think about, they are using machine learning and artificial intelligence generated by the machine learning, not only to build, enhance, and release their products to meet the customers and clients' needs, but also really at the same time putting it in the hands of the consumers, so that they have a great enhanced consumer experience or user experience. So here is another example of in real life, right? So real estate market, it is heavily used. There are different data. There has been these data about a housing market is captured for a long time, but in real time, suppose based on you go to these applications, right? So of real estate applications, you provide your choices, right? And then you provide the information in terms of how many bedrooms you are looking at, how many stories you are looking out of, whether you like urban or suburban or rural areas, which zip code or postal code specifically you are looking for the data. You provide those inputs. This artificial intelligence application, this application with artificial intelligence takes the data, applies that information to the real data, not the data it was trained on. It's a real life enhanced data to identify and narrow down your choices of houses that you are really looking for, right? So there are many such applications out there in terms of real estate mortgage market that we just talked about, right? How it tracks it. There are other implications. Well, the streaming platforms like Amazon and Netflix. So taking a pause here, how continuously it applies it when you open up, say you go to Netflix, right? It suggests a set of movies for you. How it is doing that? It is doing that based on the available data, right? So what data it does available? It has availability of you as an individual, your viewing patterns. Now, Netflix allows different profiles, that's why, right? In your household, say there are 2 adults and 2 kids, right? The kids do have their viewing preferences and they should have their own profile. And the adults also, if they have their own profile and they are watching the TV, the Netflix with their own ID, the artificial intelligence, which is built within Netflix, it observes the viewing pattern. It is capturing data when you watch it, what time of the day you watch it, how frequently you watch it, what all genres are of your preference, whether or not you are starting to watch a movie or a series and binge watching, or really taking the time to watch it fully. And based on that, it is building the next set of recommendation to you. Many cases you say, oh, that's not the things I like, because you have probably just built your profile, and based on few of the movies, which is not your actual pattern, your likings, the learning that Netflix has generated is not matching yours. But over the time, it gets more data, So data is the king, right? That's what I keep on repeating it myself. Data is the king, right? So with that relevant data, your learning is going to enhance, and that's how Netflix is going to produce the actual result. So how many of you do watch Netflix? Any of you? No one watches Netflix? That's hard to believe. Okay, Maya watches. Who else? No one else? That looks like I am boring you guys to death. No one? Come on, it has to be interactive. There is no fun in learning until and unless it is interactive. Okay, sure is yes. So what I said about how Netflix applies the machine learning, the artificial intelligence it has developed over machine learning for you as an individual when you're in your viewing pattern, right? Have you observed that behavior in real life, right? Think yourself, anything you do, you have a device in your pocket these days, and with the enhancement of technology, enhancement of the three things we talked about, the data itself, the cost of data storage, and the artificial intelligence, it has moved. It has moved from where we were in terms of how in real life this artificial intelligence are applied versus not. I know it is late night for you guys. It's almost getting what 8:45 almost IST. But please stay with me. All right. Content filtering, clustering, we talked about artificial intelligence applications. Well, yeah, real life. If you are having an Apple device, Siri, Amazon Alexa, Google Nest, and other assistant devices. Other thing you can think about the autonomous cars, right? IBM Watson and the Sophia the robot. Now, with that, let's get into types of machine learning, right? Again, I will draw your attention back to how human brains do learn, right? Please always link it back because our methodology is based on that human learning itself. Supervised machine learning versus unsupervised machine learning, right? You probably have heard about those. How is it different, right? How does it impact our the learning itself, or why we need one versus other? Supervised, as the name sounds, someone is supervising it. Someone is providing the human baby the instructions of, okay, this is the picture of a cat, this is the picture of a dog. In machine terms, how do you think it's going to happen? Meaning the data you are providing to the machine, you are labeling the data. I'll take a pause and repeat. You are labeling the data. You are saying it, this is the picture of a cat is labeled as cat, picture as a dog, labeled as dog, picture of a house is labeled as house. You are telling the machine is specific through your labeling of the data that this is what it is, and you are providing it that information. What if you are providing unlabeled data, raw data? That would be unsupervised machine learning. In case of a baby, the baby is playing around, it is looking at different pictures, objects, pictures. It is think about it is looking at a chair, right? So the baby is looking at the picture of a chair, an actual chair, and it is correlating those similar looking objects in a specific category. So in its brain, the baby, it is categorizing without a specific label, and it is going to provide a label or a ticker, which may not be chair, because that's the word which has not been told, meaning the data did not have a label, but it is going to categorize it in a specific category. And if you provide an actual chair to the baby, and then ask it to sort, this is going to, the baby is going to put that chair into the same category as it's learning has happened with the picture of a chair and others, right? So unsupervised machine learning, it is categorizing the data, it is really labeling the data itself. Whereas in supervised learning, you are providing the label and you are really enhancing the speed of learning that way through which you can expect behavior. But where you can apply is unsupervised machine learning is a huge volume of data. You do not have either time or you don't want to spend the money in terms of taking the time, categorizing and labeling the data and putting it to next step, right? So that's when probably you want to go unsupervised learning. So in case of a real life, right? Then the third, this is the third category. So please pay attention in here. So we talked about supervised and unsupervised, where a trainer is coming and giving instructions, meaning labeling the data, unsupervised, unlabeled data, raw data being fed to the learning algorithm. The third category is reinforcement machine learning. Here, you are really having the model train itself by rewarding a positive behavior and penalizing a negative behavior. So what does rewarding means? Like, say, think about you have a dog at home, right? Whenever the dog is doing the right thing, on the left-hand side picture, you are rewarding it with a treat. And the dog messes things up, you punish the dog. You put him in a corner, no treats at all, right? The result is going to be on the right-hand side. That's a funny picture in terms of it's going to either learn that which behaviors are being rewarded and do more and more of that behavior, which behaviors are not being rewarded, it will stop doing or are being penalized. It will stop doing that thing, right? So you, as a pet owner, you will get the intended result. So I'll take a pause here. It is very important to understand these three ways of machine learning: reinforcement machine learning, and also supervised and unsupervised. I'll take any questions, comments at this time on these three types of machine learning, which we just talked about. Anyone, please?
Hello, sir.
Yeah.
Sir, there is a quick question regarding reinforcement learning. I am
Sure.
just curious to know, like in this is an analogy to understand how does this works. But for example, sir, I am already working on a model. So how this reward is basically gets executed?
Okay. So when it is a training mechanism, right? As I suggested. So on reinforcement machine learning, there are parameters called a reward parameter. I think Tamas has a question. Can someone please mute her? Thank you. You have to mute her. Organizers, I think it's muted now. Okay, cool. Okay, so Charan, that was very good question and a segue to let me take you down through the next steps of like how exactly it is going to work. Whenever you are performing a machine learning, you really when you are building your base model, You need to build the base model based on how you want to build your learning mechanism, right? For a reinforcement machine learning, there are certain things called, say, reward parameter. That is very critical, right? In your code, you write your reward parameter, and in the reward parameter, the way you code, you say, for this outcome, you are going to provide it a 2-point reward. Another outcome, you're going to give it a 4-point reward in your model itself, right? And for a outcome that you don't want, in the reward parameter value, when it is generated, you are going to provide it a negative outcome. So the goal of the model is to maximize the points, right? That's how you have written your model code. So it's about, Charan, to answer your question, how when you are writing your base model, it is embedded in the base model how you want to write your model code. For supervised and unsupervised learning, there is no concept of rewarding or penalizing, right? So hence, you don't even need a reward parameter in your supervised in the base model for your supervised learning or unsupervised learning. Whereas the critical difference in here is those reward parameters, right? Now, another implication. Here is an example. And Sharon, to your question, this is probably going to help you understand more a real implication of reinforcement machine learning. So Amazon, if you go to AWS, right, which is the leading public cloud platform globally, right, where they have been around for decades, and they have a managed service called Deep Racer. Now, Deep Racer is built on reinforcement and machine learning. Think about an autonomous car running on a road, right? So think about Tesla, right? How the Tesla cars do drive. It's completely based on the machine learning and acquired artificial intelligence and a continuous learning. And these are based on reinforcement machine learning. Reinforcement meaning you want that car to stay on the lane all the time, avoid all the crashes, right? And optimize the time it takes to go from point A to point B. Choose the word optimize because it's not the fastest way you can go. You are not going to break the speed limit and etc. And you are not going to crash out. So what is the best possible way to? So think about this curves, right? When you take turn, you have to slow down, but you can always cut the corners, right? Meaning go a straight line around the edges, just like the real race cars do. But you are not hard coding that in your model. If you hard code that in the model, what will happen? It will probably perform the best in this track, but when you put it in a different track, well, it's going to fail because those corners and waypoints are not there in those tracks. So you are really building the model to enhance its behavior based on the reward parameters, right? And the waypoints you were suggesting. So basic Python code, it is written in, it is using AWS SageMaker as a machine learning vehicle. Kinesis video stream is being used on this car because what it does is, you see the front of the car, this is a 1/18 scale of a race car, right? So it has a camera in the front through which as it drives on this artificial track, it reads the sidelines, the white markers, and the center line, the yellow marker, and then it determines respectively how close it is to the right, left, whether it is going to crash or not, whether it is maintaining the center line or not. So there is a video streaming, data streaming going on based on it reacts to what the next step it is going to take in as it is steering itself. The model is steering itself, right? So, what next step, whether it is going to turn left, right, speed up, speed down, how far left or right steering it is going to move. So those are being determined by the model as it's moved on. So as you can see, I was talking about waypoints and headings and the track widths. These are very specific to the specific environment. So what it is, the car here is an agent, right? The car remains the same. When you move from track to track, the environment is the track itself, right? So these are specific elements, and I'm going a little deep into this. These are specific elements for this reinforcement machine learning of a autonomous car, right? So please do stop me if I'm going too deep, and we can skip this part, but I think I try to keep it little surface, not going too much detail into the model itself. So the environment is the track itself. The state is where on that track the car is, meaning whether it is at the corner, at the edge, on the right side, on the left side, the action it is going to take. Those are action parameters that you are going to define, meaning if the car on the track at this state is there, take this action, meaning steer left 15 degrees, steer right 30 degrees, right? And move forward 3 steps, right? Once it does that, take the next step, essentially it is evaluated against the state, and then it is granted the reward, right? So, is it jiving with you guys? I know someone is probably trying to speak up. Is it making sense? My question, okay, Rajesh is saying, can you tell me the real-time application of the linear method and reinforcement machine learning? Well, I think I just answered your question, Rajesh. It's about autonomous car driving, right? So Tesla, think about it, right? So Tesla is a real-life example of reinforcement machine learning. They apply reinforcement machine learning, just like this autonomous car as we are going through. So Rajesh, please let me know if that does answer your question, or you have specific question about what we just went over. Rajesh?
I have a question.
Sure, please.
You just told about supervised learning and unsupervised learning and reinforcement learning.
Correct.
So these 3 types of learning is sufficient for someone for doing research, or
these are primary. Yeah. So there are kind of other. So there are much deeper layers of it. But this is a high-level categorization of all machine learning. Yes. So,
okay,
but add a further step in your question. So please finish it up. Any further layer of your question? Prajat, you have a question? You came off mute. Any other questions, comments? Can I get a pulse of how is this going good for you? We spent almost about an hour on this. So, okay. All right. Okay. See the X coming in. All right. So, so reinforcement machine learning, as we talked about, right? So based on that, it is rewarded, and you can experience this. This is an extremely fun way. And there was a prior question of, do I need to be a data scientist, machine learning expert to learn this? No, you don't. If you are taking something like this managed services from AWS, it will, guide you through what all those steps are and how you can and bring your analytical brain. You define these action spaces, and you define the reward parameters, which are certain values, and you see the results, and you see how the model is behaving based on what you are setting, and you tweak those parameters. Then you go to the next layer. Then you go to the next layer, right? So you don't have to be an expert to begin with, and then otherwise, what's the point of learning, right? If you're already expert, you already know it. Okay. Now, let's with 30 minutes left out, I'd like to wrap this one up in next 15 minutes so that I can leave 15 minutes for Q&A. So roles. So most of this audience, as I understand, this is a faculty development program. So many of you are really an educator. You are providing the knowledge to your students, building talent for future days, future industries, so that they can go and apply their learned knowledge to the industry. So there are 3 segments. And also, if you are a student, you can think about what kind of roles are out there that you can focus on and how they are different from each other, right? So there are data scientists, data engineer, and ML engineers out there, right? You can think about, I kept talking about the algorithm. So knowing about the mathematics, the linear algebra, calculus, probability, optimization, right? So those are very much needed, and machine learning engineer sits in the middle of both, right? So whereas DevOps, software engineers on one side, and data scientists and business analysts are on the other side, machine learning engineer, it connects both data engineer and data scientists, and really produces a value outcome to build MLOps practices. MLOps is really the MDLC I touched on previously. So software development lifecycle, you take the data, and you saw in the chart how it is. It is a continuous life cycle of model development, right? What is the latest trend? Generative AI is a huge hype in there. 2 years back, about the same time, OpenAI released their Chat GPT, and that created a havoc in the industry. And Chat GPT itself has moved a long way in terms of what it could do back then, just based on the pure text, providing a next version or unleashing the capabilities where NLP, natural language processing, was stuck. Right now, it has expanded the latest model. So if you go to GPT-4o or even later ones, you will see that it can process images, it can process speech, like as we are talking, it can process videos. It's not stuck with just the text, right? Even you can attach a file to it or a data to it, and it can produce a presentation slides and things like that, right? It is very well. It has been advancing. Now, OpenAI has been a market leader, but there are many other players in market who are catching up these days, like AI-21, Mistral, Llama. So Llama is from Meta, right? So if you are, I know all of us use WhatsApp, right? You have access to that on your palm. So if you go to your WhatsApp, right, and you'll see a chat window, that's really the Llama 3 model. You can ask it what model you are using. I can probably, let me see whether I can bring up my WhatsApp chat window in here. And it may not share the chat window. No, it's not. Okay. So, well, I'll probably skip that. So essentially, if you open up the WhatsApp and you see the logo, that's where Llama 3 model is there, which is a generative AI model from Meta, right? Google has its Vertex AI, right, which has been released, which is a platform through which it is providing access to all its generative AI models. But what is generative AI? Like we are talking generative AI. It generates the content based on the context that it is being provided or not. Well, that may be too much for you to digest in one sentence, how many words, affirmative and non-affirmative words I have used. So how does generative AI differ from the traditional AI ML models? Generative AIs are GPTs. What does GPT stand for? Generative pre-trained transformers. Think about most part of our conversation today. We talked about machine learning, right? Meaning you are training a model to build the intelligence. For generative AIs, they have been pre-trained by those providers, whether it is OpenAI for GPTs, whether it is Meta for Llama models, or AI21, or Mistral, or Google. They have pre-trained these general purpose natural language processing models years over years on petabytes of relevant data to make it a general purpose, right? Now think about it, there always a model learning end date. So if you just have the model, if you ask it is to the latest 10 question, it will not be able to give you an answer. If you ask what is the temperature outside right now, just the model itself will not be able to tell you. The model was not trained on that streaming latest data. But what it can do, right? You can link up the model to do RAG, retrieval augmented generation, or you can augment it with a real-time data being transferred from another feed so that it can give you the answer you are looking for. It does amazing things you would see, right? But why generative AI is different? Think about you guys, you need an answer. The context is very important for generative AI, right? And that's why a new role, we talked about data scientists, data engineers, ML engineers. With the advent of generative AI, there is another role which is evolving. It's called prompt engineering. It's not really writing a code, but essentially providing the right context based on your business need to the generative AI prompt so that it is producing, it is generative, right? So it can produce different results different times, but with providing a right prompt, you can narrow it down to generate one same result over and over and over again. For businesses, it is very prudent to have those consistency of outcomes. Otherwise, people will not trust your product, right? So in generative AI sense, if you look at what is prompt engineering, so you pass on a prompt, you ask a question, that's your prompt, right? So if you ask a question, well, what is the best tandoori place? Well, it might name a place in Punjab, which is probably best in whole India ranking, right? But really, you are sitting at Kadamtala More at Jalpaiguri, and you are looking for a restaurant name in there. You look at the result and say, what am I going to do with this, right? I cannot go there. I just want something now. So essentially what it means that you have not provided enough context to these GPTs to produce the intended results. So it's coming to the usage now. Think about, we talked about machine learning, we talked about developing intelligence, which these generative AIs are already pre-trained. Now it comes to, you want to make use of it, that is the usage is through the prompts, how contextualized you are bringing the prompt. So you can, if you can say, at Jalpaiguri Kadamtala More, what is the best place I can eat tandoori chicken tonight? Then you will see, you ask the same question 10 times, you will get same consistent result of one restaurant, right? Where you can go and eat it. Is it jiving with you about generative AI? I hope so. Okay, moving on to Chat GPT, right? So I already touched on it. It's a large language model trained, it's API based, and you saw all the models over there. Now comes, let's start on with the next few minutes. This power, this advent of computing power, advent of intelligence. Every time great power comes with great responsibility. It's a quote from, the favorite cartoon character in Spider-Man, right? So when Spider-Man got the power, Uncle said that great power comes with great responsibility. These AIs are providing us great power, but where we put it into use, that's where the ethical responsibilities and other responsibilities kick in. That's why there is so much hype about RAI, responsible AI. Hope you have heard the term RAI, right? responsible AI. There is a layer being built on top of this generative AI so that there is no unintended context being provided. People are not providing racial slurs or other things to the context, and it is trying to generate. It is going to block it at the beginning itself. So building that AI layer is so critical in business application of this generative AI. Now, there are so many challenges, even with the power itself, building AI solutions, right? Lack of business alignment, like what outcome you are really trying to drive for. Purpose fit versus general purpose. You can say it on the word. Lack of data-driven culture in organization. People are not data is the king. Still, people want to build something which is not driven by the actual data. Challenges with the real-life AI intelligence with existing legacy systems, right? So much resistance to change. Data security, confidentiality of storage. Data is the king, but the security and confidentiality and integrity of the data, right? 3 pillars of the data is so important. Difficulty of building a compute solution, right? So data right sizing, data fit for problem, data quality issues, infrastructure and cost of training your model, fit for purpose. Niche skill set required, the data scientists, data engineers, machine learning experts that we talked about. Industries are facing these challenges. Legal and regulatory risk. I think our previous speaker, someone was talking about privacy concern. So the data geographical boundary concern. Every country has their country-specific rules and regulations. Legal entity approvals is required if you are operating in a different country altogether. Model operational stability, monitoring, drifting, retraining, that it is a continuous thing. It is just not build one, it will be obsoleted in a quarter, right? Model explainability for AI decisions, right? Who is going to take the responsibility? If your company is using AI to generate an outcome for your customer, and if you give it in the hands of customer, and it is generative AI is generating something which is not in line with customer expectation, who is accountable? Like you are at the end still accountable for those outcomes, right? Now, talking about RAI, which I touched on, the ethical and explainable, that overlaps the overall responsible AI behavior. On the ethical side, it has to be inclusive. You have to have the accountability, which I touched on. It has to have the reliability and safety of the outcome or the prompt it is generating back. Privacy and security concerns, transparency of the information being provided, and fairness. The outcome should not be biased to one versus other, right? This is a critical challenge definitely for building a responsible AI model, right? So accountability is the base layer, as you can see. Who is accountable for the outcome? The business who is bringing in this capability and providing in the hand of consumer is at the end of the day accountable for that, no matter what, right? Transparency of the information, and then on the top layer, it's the security, reliability, privacy, inclusive, fair, those ethical components. Now, you have noticed that many countries did ban ChatGPT. Why? Right? 15 countries banned ChatGPT when it came out, right? Countries went after this launch in 2022 has concerns about the spread of misinformation because generative AI and it is based on contextual base. If you're not going to provide the context, it is going to assume the context. Data breaches, right? So when you are using it, it is using certain set of data, processing in memory. There is a big chance of getting it breached. And then censorship about the copyrights about what is being used, right? There was a big protest, Hollywood writers protest against ChatGPT because whatever information they have that is being reused with the content being provided. Plagiarism policy. You are all in the education industry knowing that how much a big challenge it is that there is AI against AI. So whatever students are producing and writing, if they are written it using AI and specifically generative AI, there are AI check marks on top of it to see whether the submitted papers do have plagiarism without any citation, right? So those are the critical real-life challenges in there. Now talking about the security, implication of generative AI in security. So switching topic, think about it. We are talking about the security of the model and the data itself. Now, implication of generative AI, because of its power and responsibility piece that we talked about, the power itself, the usage of generative AI in cybersecurity is going to go huge. In 2024, 726 US million in $1 million in US dollars we have spent, whereas in 2032 we are projecting it to grow to $2 billion, essentially being invested in GenAI for the cybersecurity market. Right? There are a lot of other topics in this this conference that you will be hearing from other speakers, but think about the projected growth of implication of just generative AI itself. I'm not talking about overall implication. Now, whereas how GenAI enhances the cybersecurity, right? I have put together the 8 categorization of it. You can apply the generative AI in threat detection, predictive analysis, analyze the vast data sets of your threat data, identifying the threat landscape, and that way malware generation and analysis, and then enhance biometric itself, automated security patch generation, anomaly detection, phishing detection and prevention, threat simulation, and training. So there are the few areas of cybersecurity where generative AI in particular can play in. So with 15 minutes, I'd like to open it up for Q&A.
Yeah.
So I think someone got unmuted, but it's just creating noise. Can someone please mute?
நீ எதுக்கு இது வேணா கையில் கொடுங்க நானே என்ன கையில் கொடுன்னு அதுதான் கையில் கேஷ் கொடுத்துறோம். அது நீ டிஜிட்டல் டிஜிட்டல் காசு அனுப்புவான். நான் எங்க கையில் கேஷ் கிடையாது.
Can someone please mute?
ஏதோ அனுப்புறேன். இது மெசேஜ் எனக்கு ஏதோ.
Yeah, Maya, please go ahead. CNN bills and how efficient it is. I am not exposed to that. So let me, Maya, to your question, I have not done my own research on CNN Bilestium. So sorry, cannot answer that. Other questions?
Sir, I have a question, sir.
Sure.
What you have told in your session, it is very much needful to us. But
I can barely hear you. Louder.
Whatever you told in your sessions, it is very much needed for us, sir. Actually, most of the applications you told from industry aspects. Okay. So we generally faculty members do research on some particular topic. I am doing research on image processing where AI is needed. Deep learning also needed. Convolution network is used. Okay. So in your session, I noticed that you told regarding the industrial data. Okay.
Correct.
So how we researchers we can do some research on the industrial problems.
That's a very good, very relevant for, right? So I was based on the industry, but essentially, if you look at industry and education system should be very well linked. Now, the industry trend, what is going on, where you see there is much demand of a specific field of study, researchers do bring in a lot of value in terms of enhancing those. As an example, right, the current trend, how do we solve for with the educational research? How do we solve for a certain set of industry problems, right? I have few of my colleagues or my even batchmate from Jalpaiguri, they are into the educational research field as well. So the trend, if you look at the capabilities that generative AI is building in, but essentially, if you think about it, just giving you an example, right? What you can think through, the ethical behavior of generative AI, right? What are the implications or not? That could be a huge, huge topic in generative AI. Also, benchmarking different models that you can look up. The reason I brought up specifically benchmarking, because we being from the industry, we have partners in different universities, right? So specific department of AI and machine learning in different universities, where we are having those educational institutions benchmark, say, 15 different ML models, how those can solve for a specific financial sector business problem. We are having them research. So I think for you, it will be prudent to work with different sectors in the market and then partner with them to identify where they want to implement the AI/ML technologies to solve for their either cybersecurity problems or their operational problem, or enhance the capabilities they already have, and then bring back to your area. So it has to be a partnership, right? So whenever you are doing a research, it has to ultimately do a value addition to something or somewhere, right? Building that channel and establishing that grounded or intended outcome with the industry, then you can focus now, perfectly focus on, okay, we are doing this research to drive this outcome for this industry or solution. So partnering with different other universities or an industry is where you should start. Does it make sense?
Yes, sir. Sir, thank you, sir.
Okay. Other questions, comments? And
Sir,
again,
one thing,
go
sir.
ahead. Go ahead.
Yes, sir. Good evening, sir.
Yes.
Sir, my question is to you, sir. Sir, today we are all learning this Python. Sir, do you also have to learn our language also parallelly?
It never hurts there, but if you look at most of the machine learning languages, you can do pretty much everything with Python. So building a knowledge of Python is very critical if you want to get deep into machine learning.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Mhm. But it doesn't hurt, right? Learning more.
Okay, sir.
Other questions? Comments? I know I'm keeping you late. I'm probably between you and your dinner or past dinner time. Apologies for that. Other questions or comments? Research is the area where I can work deep learning for research purposes. Okay. There is a vast area of topic in the deep learning, right? Neural networks are being utilized in many deep learning mechanisms. But one thing really the challenge is when you are, I'm answering the question for Olga. So when you are performing those things, essentially first you have to think through whether you have the right funding to build and train your model, right? The reason I bring up funding is training these models are not cheap, right? Whenever you are going to do deep learning, number one, you need access to a vast data set. Number two, you need access to GPUs, right? Where you are going to learn this. And it is extremely costly for even for the corporates who look at as a way to enhance their revenue and growth and value addition. They are finding certain cases a hard time to invest in there, right? I'll give you an example for fine-tuning models, right? For our firm, JP Morgan Chase, which is the largest bank in the United States, for 1 year, we have been debating, and we have not invested in fine-tuning the generative AI models because we saw the investment and the return on investment for those fine-tuning purposes did not match up, right? Cybersecurity is definitely poses a great opportunity because of the reason that the threat landscape is changing. The bad actors are really tapping into these capabilities to enhance how they are exploiting the vulnerabilities in different ways, in shape and form. So cybersecurity would be a great area to invest in for deep learning. It's vast and wide though. Can we use ML for public auditing protocol? For privacy preserving? Absolutely, Vidya. So your question is extremely relevant, right? And that's where Gen AI specifically comes in, right? Where you have the privacy policies, right? Which could be like for each and every area, it could be a, say, 1,000-page documentation, right? All are in fine printing. For a human brain to go over each one of those and identify areas of gaps where the privacy is being violated is extremely painstaking. There could be misses and etc. You can provide these privacy documents. You can write a programmatic code or your prompt to get this privacy statement, and in actual life, whatever is being done, to have the Gen AI check against whether it is violating any of those. Say, if it is a even a 1,000,000-page document, right? Whether any of those fine printing document is being violated for a specific outcome, and in public auditing, you can very well apply it. It's a great implication, Vidya. So thanks for asking that question. Other questions?
No, sir.
All right. So Dr. Berman, I think we are coming up on time as well. Thank you for giving the opportunity to present with this forum of elite folks. Appreciate that.
Thank you, Mr. Majumdar, having me as a speaker, and I hope all the participants have enjoyed your session, and the session was very much interactive, and we hope we will get you again whenever we need or whenever we call you. We hope you will positively respond. And thank you once again, and we are really proud of you.
Thank you.
Of this college, we are really proud of you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you. Appreciate that. The college is still, after 28 years of graduating, it's always one of the prime. It has a prime place in my heart. So I will take the opportunity anytime I get to work with college. So
sure, sir. Whenever you will get time, just try to visit our campus again.
Absolutely. In fact, in 2022, two years back, about this time, we spent with my batchmate, 96
Yes.
We visited.
You have shared the picture.
Yeah. Okay.
In front
Perfect.
of our gate. Yes.
And it was great to see 3 of our teachers in the college still. So, and I was amazed to talk to our professor, Professor P.K. Saha. He remembered my name. I was like baffled with that, right? Students do remember professors' name because they are the teacher and then they provide the knowledge. And you guys are coaching so many students every year, but how he remembered my name after 28 years, 26 years, I was really baffled by that.
Okay, sir. Thank you. So now we are just end our second session here, and we will meet again tomorrow from 6 p.m. And Mr. Majumdar will share our certificate and a small memento with you. And thank you.
Sounds good. Thanks everyone for hanging in so late. No, it's late to your place. My day just started, so appreciate that. Have a good one.
Thank you.
Bye bye.